Come on. Okay, let's see. Content is being sent to a. Got it. Okay, Arnie, we're all set. Go ahead.
Thanks, Joanne. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year to you all, and welcome to the January 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission. We will open this evening with the roll call. Mr. Chiocchio.
Here.
Ms. Hofstetter.
Here.
Mr. Sylvain.
Here.
Mr. Haas.
Here.
And Chairman Finaldi is here. Referring to our agenda, the minutes of the December 6, 2023 meeting were previously distributed. Unless there's any comments or discussion on those minutes, I will entertain a motion to accept them.
Mr. Chairman, so moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes of the December 6, 2023 meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? The next meeting is scheduled, our next regularly scheduled meeting is for January 17th, 2024. Please note your calendars. Also, not to jump ahead, but under correspondence, commission members, the revised meeting schedule for 2024 was distributed. Please note your calendars accordingly. Before we get to the first public hearing this evening, I will open. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to explain, I had scheduled a meeting for Juneteenth, and now Juneteenth is a legal holiday, so I had to revise it, and I'd already filed it in the town clerk's office, so I had to reissue it.
Fair enough. Thanks,
Okay,
Joanne.
thanks.
Okay, this meeting of the Danbury Planning Commission is being held on Zoom as a virtual meeting. Even though this meeting is a virtual meeting, members of the public and interested parties continue to have the opportunity to participate in the meeting in a couple of different ways. You can participate via Zoom and see the audio and the video, or you can call in by phone and participate via audio only. Please be aware that we may have to mute your microphone or telephone to avoid an echo or some other background noise. Instructions on how to participate in the meeting appear on the City of Danbury website, and all of the documents and materials that apply to the matters to be discussed during this meeting, including the agenda, are also available on the City of Danbury website. As always, if you have any questions regarding how to participate in the meeting, please contact the City of Danbury Planning and Zoning Department. As a reminder, the entire meeting will be posted on and can be seen on the City of Danbury website. We will follow the posted agenda as per standard practice. If prior to the meeting, any questions or comments on agenda items were submitted via email to the Planning and Zoning Department, those comments will be read during the appropriate portion of the meeting. Finally, please remember that technology glitches do sometimes occur. Please be patient if that happens. What that noise was. Okay, with that said, we're going to move straight to our first public hearing this evening. Black Wolf Properties LLC, property owner and applicant, application for special exception in site plan approval for repair of automobiles, trucks, and motorcycles with indoor parking, storage facility, and limited use automobile, truck, and motorcycle sales. Sections 6A2B12, 6A5H in the IL40 zone, 32 Myrie Brook Road, F1910017, special exception number 798. I'll read the legal notice. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission of the City of Danbury will hold public hearings commencing at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, in a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom to consider the following matter. Black Wolf Properties, LLC, property owner and applicant, application for special exception waiver to site plan requirements for repair of automobiles, trucks, and motorcycles with indoor parking, storage facility, and limited use automobile, truck, and motorcycle sales, sections 6A2B12, 6A5H in the IL40 zone, 32 Myrie Brook Road, F19017, special exception number 798. Copies of these applications are on file in the Planning and Zoning Office for public inspection. Parties in interest and citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. Agenda to be posted will include instructions on how to access the Zoom meeting and application materials and view the meeting in real time on YouTube. Arnold E. Finaldi, Jr., Chairman. Posted on City website and Town Clerk's office, excuse me, on December 18th, 2023, and published in the News Times on December 22nd, December 29, 2023, purchase order number 2024. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application? Who wants to go first, Dinah or Neil?
On this one, Dynas is not on BlackRock. This is Civil One. Civil One.
Oh, okay.
Do you need to? I know Ally's now on the screen. Do we need to hear her staff report first, or do you want me to go first?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Okay, you don't need her staff report.
Well, you've all read it.
Okay, good. Yeah. If you've read her staff report, I'll start. Neil Marcus, Cohen Wolf, PC 158 Deer Hill Avenue, on behalf of Black Wolf, Properties, which does business on Murray Brook Road as North American Motor Cars. And this application is the last chapter of a saga that started a number of years ago when BlackRock was approved to have its current facility where they store cars, they work on vintage and collector cars, and they have actually public meeting spaces, rooms where people can have business meetings, etc. But the bulk of their business is automobile and motorcycles, and they do very high-end vehicles. What the state of Connecticut had a problem at one point with the operation because the sales that they were making there were being actually made over in the state of New York, and the Department of Motor Vehicles said, you really should be making those sales here where you're working on the cars and put it all in one place. And the problem with that, of course, was that they were in the wrong zone originally. So that started us with down the road to amend the zoning regulations to allow by special exception the limited sale of used automobiles that are collector and vintage and meet a certain price range. And the zoning reg came before this commission for an 8-3A referral, where we got a positive referral to the zoning commission, where I believe we had a pretty almost unanimous decision in favor of the amendment to the regulation. Now that the regulation is in place, the last act of the applicant is to obtain the special exception, and that's why we're here tonight. In reality, if you've seen this site and if you've read the staff report, you'll see that physically there's absolutely no change. The building is 100% the same after the special exception as it is before. The driveways, the traffic report is all based on the existing use of the property. So this really is a technical application this evening to get a final approval for the special exception, which I'm hoping you'll see fit to grant. And at that point, to move on with the existing site plan. Now, the staff report has noted about 4 or 5 separate corrections, modifications to the actual drawing. And we've submitted that to Civil One. And I was sort of hoping that they might get that back to us before tonight's hearing. But with the intervening holiday, I don't think I got them the staff report until the very end of December, right before we broke for the New Year's holiday. And I assume, unless Ally or Jen has any information to the contrary, that we haven't gotten a modified or an amended plan yet. You will have that in the next couple of days, I can assure you. So this evening, if the commission sees fit, and if the staff thinks it's a prudent way to go, I'm going to ask that if there are no questions after the public hearing, that it get closed and that you act upon the application with the conditions of fulfilling the requirements of the staff report, all of which are really ministerial and more a process rather than substance at this point. So I'm not going to waste a lot of your time. That's my new motto for this year. I know it's going to be a great disappointment for all those who like and enjoy listening to me rattle on for hours. But for 24, I'm going to try to be brief, and I'll answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Marcus. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone else in favor? Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application?
Mr. Chairman,
I can't, who is that? I can't quite tell.
Ben,
that's Ben Chinese.
Okay, go ahead, Ben.
I know where I am on this. Can you see me? I turned on the camera.
Yeah,
We see your hand
Oh,
in front of your
how
face.
about now?
Now,
Yeah,
we
we
see
can
your
see it.
lovely
Okay.
face. Go ahead. Get your hand
Okay,
out of there.
Oh, okay. How's that, better?
yeah, it's fine.
Almost? Okay. Ben Chinese, 5 Briar Ridge Road, Danbury, Connecticut. A member of the city council. I'm here I'm kind of in the middle of for and against, but as you know, over the past, I'm very conscious of this area being, since we represented it with Murray Brook being I consider it a local road. A lot of the residents who live around there consider it a local road. It's not a arterial road, and I forgot what the planning report said it, but I kind of disagree how she described the road as being, I just can't remember off the top of my head. But my only question, if someone can answer it, is the certification part of it. My question would be is who certifies it? Because it says they got to submit a certified report to the zoning enforcement officer, but who certifies it? Who's the one who certifies it? Is that the ZEO certifies it, or someone that they got to hire to certify it that they actually sold the 10 cars? So that's my really concern is who's going to oversee the certification within the city. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I'm looking at, I think what Councilman Chinese is referring to is section, forgive me, the section of the zoning regs that speaks to the special exception. There, under letter H, there are 11 conditions. The one at number 8 says a certificate of location approval is required from the zoning enforcement officer pursuant to the provisions of CGS section 1454. So Ally or Jen, am I correct in saying it's the ZEO that
No.
certifies the location? Okay, you go ahead. Please.
Ally.
I'm gonna have to defer to
Oh.
Jen on this. Apologies.
Nope, that's okay. So, the number 8 again. I'm going through the requirements to try to see if what Councilman Chinese is referring to. If I can, Mr. Chairman, can I ask Mr. Chinese directly if he's referring to that requirement?
Yeah, Ben, where did you get this certification issue from?
I thought I read it in her report or some
Excuse me.
report.
I
If
think
I
he's
may, Mr. Chairman.
The
Oh, go ahead, Bob.
certification by the customer,
Right, yes.
by the applicant of the number of cars and the price of the cars that he's selling each month. I think, and I
Correct.
think it's gonna come from the applicant or the operator of the business to the zoning enforcement office. Is the way I
That's-
understand it.
Yeah,
That's
but,
correct, Mr. Chairman. That is correct.
okay.
So it's the actual property owner that submits that that evidence, whether it's a signed affidavit. I'm not entirely sure. We'd have to talk to the zoning enforcement officer to see what would be a satisfactory submission.
Okay,
That's my
So-
that's my question.
all right, well, we're not exactly sure who documents the requirements of 6A5H. It appears,
Excuse
I mean,
Jen, excuse me, when I spoke to Sean about it, he said he's probably going to require an affidavit every month.
okay.
Right.
So the applicant or the owner will have to provide a signed affidavit to document that he's within the restrictions of 6A5H. Okay.
Right.
All right. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this application?
Chairman?
Mr. Rotella?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Paul Rotello for the record, 13 Linden Place, Danbury, also a representative like Councilman Tracy, where this subject property is located. A couple of issues. Obviously, the facility has been in existence for some time, and it appears to be a good neighbor. I have not heard anything in the negative from the adjacent property owners and the people above that at Spruce Mountain. Beyond the concerns about traffic on Myrie Brook, which is not only an issue local to Myrie Brook, but for the west side in general, as the region continues to expand and welcome new businesses. There are a couple of specific things with the site. One would be pollution control from the spray booths. We want to make sure that the anything exiting the building is free of paint contaminants and volatile organic compounds and issues like that. When it comes to sales, obviously, we would have concerns about test drives above Spruce Mountain. We would request that they be restricted to arterial roadways. And we would request, and I'm sure the business would accommodate this, a general sensitivity to the surrounding area, especially the pre-existing and long-term stable neighborhoods above the property. And that's all that I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rotello. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone else in opposition? Okay. Ally, I don't think we're waiting for any, well, just a couple of things before we move on. Well, actually, no, that's okay. Just Ally, are we waiting for any other reports from any other departments or anything on this particular application?
No, this is just a review by the planning department.
Okay. Commission members, any issues or questions for the applicant? I would add just a couple of things myself. Repair and storage and painting is already permitted. That's not the purpose of this particular app. This is for sales and to establish a small portion of the front building as, I guess, some sort of a showroom for selling. So that's sort of the service and auto body work and painting, that's all already approved. I just want to make that clear. And also, you know, there are, as I mentioned, in the special exception under 6A5H, there are a lot of conditions that exist that protect the special exception. You know, and we talked about those, no greater than 10 used vehicles sold per month, the value of the vehicles, et cetera, et cetera. The lot minimum has to be 3 acres. So I wanted to make sure everybody just raised a reminder that that's all there. If you want a refresher, you can look at 6A5H. With that said, commission members, is there any questions or issues for the applicant? Okay. Well, if there's no questions for the applicant and no discussion, is there anything else that the applicant wants to add at this point?
If I might for a second, Neil Marcus, just to address briefly Ben's question, I agree with the suggestion from the staff that we'll come up with a format that the CEO feels comfortable with, and the certification will be from a managing member or officer of the applicant. And if they need any backup material, the sales reports will always be on file at the property. So Sean or whoever's the CEO at the time can verify what we're certifying. And on Paul's issue, Paul Rotello's question, interestingly enough, when we were before the zoning commission, unbeknownst to me, a neighbor on Spruce Mountain appeared at that hearing and gave what I thought was an unsolicited, very, very positive report about what a good neighbor Chris Bishop in North American has been in the neighborhood. So to answer Paul's suggestion, they will be sensitive to any issues with the neighborhood. That's the way this company operates. They're first class. I mean, there's no question. Yeah, don't judge them by their counsel. They're first class. Thanks, Jim. But that's all I had to add. Thanks.
Thank you. So Ally, we have no obstacles or issues departmentally to closing the public hearing.
Correct. There's just some minor notes that need to be added to the plan. Again, administrative notes.
Okay, and there's no further discussion among the commission. I mean, it's not my New Year's resolution, but I like to keep things moving too, as much as anybody else does. With that said, commission members, I'll entertain them, if you're so inclined, if it is your pleasure, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing and move this to old business for possible discussion and for discussion and possible action, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvain. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to close the public hearing and move it to item 1 under old business. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, first public hearing is closed. It's moved to item 1. The discussion is moved to item 1 under old business for discussion and possible action. Okay. We're going to move right to our second public hearing this evening. Sugar Hollow Associates LLC. Application for revised special exception, revised site plan for change of use from vacant space to medical office space. The shops at Marcus Dairy in the CG20 zone, 5 Sugar Hollow Road, G17002, special exception 663. Let me just read the legal notice briefly. Notice is hereby given that the Planning Commission of the City of Danbury will hold public hearings commencing at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024, in a web-based meeting hosted on Zoom to consider the following matter. Sugar Hollow Associates LLC application for revised special exception, revised site plan for change of use from vacant space to medical office space to shops at Marcus Dairy in the CG20 zone, 5 Sugar Hollow Road, G17002, special exception number 663. Copies of these applications are on file in the Planning and Zoning Office for public inspection. Parties and interested citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard at this time. Agenda to be posted will include instructions on how to access the Zoom meeting and application materials and view the meeting in real time on YouTube. Arnold D. Finaldi Jr., Chairman. Posted on city website and town clerk's office on December 18th, 2023. Published in the News Times on December 22nd and 29th, 2023. Purchase order number 2024-8. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of this application?
Mr. Chairman, Neil Marcus, Code Wolf PC, 158 Deer Hill Avenue, on behalf of Sugar Hollow Associates, and I am joined this evening by Dinas Fabricus from Artel Engineering. And the application is pretty straightforward. We have in the building, there are 3 buildings at Sugar Hollow Associates. The building that fronts on Sugar Hollow Road, which currently has Duluth Trading at one end and Sleep Number at the other end, has an empty space in between that had been occupied by the Gym Source, selling basically treadmills and exercise equipment. And they've been out of that space for just over a year, about a year ago, October. And of course, we've been looking to relet the property, and we've had the opportunity of a request from Truvance, which is a partnership involving the Danbury Hospital, involving Nuvance, to set up a medical, a walk-in clinic on that site. And when we got the request, the proposal to lease the property, the first thing we did was a calculation of the parking requirements, because there's a difference, obviously, between the parking requirements for medical space and for retail. And we did the calculation based on the floor plan that they've given us. And of course, Dinas is here, and he actually did that calc. But we determined that we had sufficient parking and that the use would be in harmony and compatible with the types of tenants that we have in the shops. So having done that, our next inquiry was, would we have any traffic issues? So we've submitted to you a traffic report from H&H, which is really a follow-up of the report that they did just a few months ago when the Panera building, which is now finally under construction, was approved as a special exception based upon the addition of a drive-through. So they took the recent studies, a recent report that they had done, and they upgraded it to determine that there'd be very, very minimal impact. Actually, in some respects, the traffic on the site actually improves based on peak hours, et cetera. But based on that, we've come before you to seek a special exception. And again, there will be absolutely no changes to the physical structure of the shopping center. The driveways, the parking areas will all remain the same. And the only thing we're doing is allowing a different tenant use and the interior repairs or renovations, I should say. So that's the simple presentation. And again, Dinas is here. I'll ask him if he's got anything he wants to add, or we can just ask some questions if we have. Do you have anything to add to that, Dinas?
Absolutely not. It's a simple application. We meet the parking requirements. Traffic is in check. It's just internal modifications. That's all.
Okay.
That's it. The applicant will rest and answer any questions from the commission or the public.
Okay, thank you very much, Attorney Marcus. Dinas, is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application?
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Rotella? Oh, I'll tell you what, why don't you, we'll go to Ben first and then Paul.
Again, Mr. Chairman, I'm Ben Chinese, 5 Briar Ridge Road, Danbury, Connecticut. And I'm here this evening to speak in favor of the application as a resident of this, and council member of this area. I find this use to be an acceptable use as a needed use in the area, and as well as the property next to it, or basically behind it, is also got approval for medical use as well. So I think this will actually fit the area in a positive way, and I see no objections in the application this evening. Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chianese. We'll go right to Mr. Rotella.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One complaint about Neil turning over a new leaf. You know, I always want to tune in for a windy soliloquy, and I'm a little disappointed this evening. So I think we should give him a couple of more minutes just to ramble on. So,
I'm not sure it's really him.
yeah, I know. I'll at least feel fulfilled. I mean, I gave up a night out to come here, and I feel, although it didn't cost me anything. So look, I'm not a land use official. I don't really understand the esoteria between like retail and medical. My issue would be, if I had an issue, and I do not, I support this, would be if you wanted to put residential or something like that in there. There is obviously retail and medical coexisting. The mall has an eyeglass store and had for many years an eyeglass doctor, an eye doctor in the mall, which is a medical thing. There is that eye doctor is left and he's going around the corner to Mill Plain. There's a dental office down the street on Park Avenue. As Councilman Chinese mentioned, there is going to be a medical office adjacent to this building. So the only issue I think would be parking. I'm in that I frequent the shops at Marcus Dairy probably on a daily basis, and I generally go and park right across the way from where this new fit up would be, and there is plenty of parking now. Obviously, there's an empty a section there, but I've been going there since it opened, when everything was filled and parking had never really been an issue. So I'm not anticipating a problem. Again, for the record, Paul Rotello, 13 Linden Place, and the representative of the 6th Ward where this is. I've never heard a single complaint about the shops at Marcus, whether it was traffic or their vendors or anything else. To the contrary, the only comments I've heard have been positive, and I would expect this would be a good addition and a positive addition to the area and the neighborhood. And now potentially that there may be a residential build out across the street at the mall, it might behoove developers to maybe move a little bit more in that direction, to give that area a fuller, besides just retail, a fuller build out of the kinds of facilities and services that those people may need. There may be several hundred of them, but that's a conversation for a different time. But in the meantime, I support the petition and wish them good luck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Rotello. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Anyone else in favor? Anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to this application? Okay, commission members, any questions for the applicant at this point?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Bob.
not a question, but just a comment and maybe a clarification for the record. The department report states, it says that there will be a net decrease in total site traffic. And I don't believe that that is accurate. I think there's actually a slight increase in the total traffic. There's, at the morning and afternoon and Saturday morning peak hours, it appears per the report that there's a decrease in peak hour traffic, but in total amounts, it really is. There's actually a 15% increase in total daily traffic from 226 to 260 trips per day. So I just wanted to clarify that. I don't have any issue with that, and I agree with the overall traffic report, that finding that the impact is not going to have any adverse effect on the current traffic flow in the parking lot and in the surrounding streets. So I just wanted to clarify that for the record, and I don't have any issues with the application.
Thanks, Bob. Dinas, any thoughts on that? Or Neil?
I think that Bob's rendition is absolutely correct. As I think I said that the overall traffic it's slightly greater, but there's a benefit during certain peak hours where the traffic is less. But at the end of the day, the numbers are negligible. That's where the traffic engineer ended up. I think that's the correct reading. Correct.
100% correct. You hit the unmute button quicker than me. Quick draw.
Yeah.
So Bob, I saw that too. And, I did, pause for just a moment, but I guess, the Bible, if you will, of traffic is the ITE manual. I mean, that's what they use. And I guess everybody uses the same source of documentation when they come up with their trip generation. And that's that. And based on that manual that they use, I'm sorry, go ahead. Those were the trips that they came up with. I did see that and pause for a second myself. Okay, with that said, is there any other questions for the applicant?
Just to comment, it's always nice when the vice chairman summarizes far more eloquently than I would have exactly my question and points. I would have wanted the same clarification or verification of that clarification, and I also have no problem with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this Neil? Is this an emergency? It's like an urgent care center or an AFC? Do you know what specific medical use will be there, or is that to be determined?
It's a walk-in clinic. It's going to be, my understanding is it's just going to be general medicine.
Okay.
General medicine.
All right, good. All right, thank you. Ally, is there anything on this application we're waiting for? Any department reports, or are we clear to close?
No, again, it was just our department, and there's just some minor notes that need to be added to the plans.
Okay. Well, commission members, again, in the spirit of moving things along in early 2024, unless there's anything else or any further discussion, I will entertain a motion to close this public hearing and move it to item 2 under old business. Helen, you're muted. I think you're muted.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I will make that motion as you stated it.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Haas. Thank you. Okay, motion made and seconded to close the public hearing and move it to item 2 under old business. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This public hearing is closed and will be moved to item 2 under old business for discussion and possible action. Okay. Moving along, Under continuation of public hearings, we did receive, I think everybody was made aware of a letter we received dated yesterday from Tom Beecher. Dear Mr. Finaldi and members of the Planning Commission, I represent KC Energy. We're asking that this public hearing be continued to January 17th, 2024. We hereby grant an extension of the statutory timeframe to close the hearing to January 17th, 2024. Thank you. Very truly yours, Thomas W. Beecher. So this, do I need a motion? Okay, I do need a motion in this. So I will entertain a motion to continue the public hearing for Guy and Roberta Montanari.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvain. A second, please.
Second.
Second, Ms. Hofstadter. Thank you very much. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the matter of Guy and Roberta Montanari will be continued until our next meeting on January the 17th. Okay, we're moving along here to old business for discussion of possible action. Number 1. Black Wolf Properties LLC, property owner and applicant, application for special exception site plan approval for repair of automobiles, trucks, and motorcycles with indoor parking storage facility and limited used automobile, truck, and motorcycle sales, section 6A2B to 6A5H in the IL40 zone, 32 Myrtlebrook Road, F19017, special exception number 798, and the public hearing was closed this evening. Would anyone like to discuss or give their thoughts on this application to staff?
Mr. Chairman, I'm in favor of approving this application. I know there's a few notes left to, I guess, add to plans or whatever, but I don't see any issues with it. And, I would look forward to it going forward.
Thank you, Helen. Mr. Chiocchio?
Yeah, I agree with Helen. No issues with this. It's a pretty minor change. The sales are going to be minimal per month. They're limited to the number that they can sell. It's pretty high-end stuff, and as we heard on the record, they're a pretty decent neighbor. So I don't expect any issues here. So I have no issues with this.
That's great. Anyone else want to chime in, or Mr. Sylvain?
No problem here. I feel positively about it. And, I think we feel positively about the changes we made to the regs in order to be able to approve this. So I think we're good to move forward. Thank you.
Great.
I'm
You
all
okay
good.
with- Great, Kevin. And no, I agree with everything that was said. I probably should have asked the applicant to put the site plan up. It looks like it just, that front building is 18,700 square feet. The drawing shows there's sort of a carve out of 2,000 square feet for where they're going to do the sales. So it's really just a very minor change. The bigger building in the back, 31,000 square feet, has virtually no impact or effect on this. So I too am in favor of it. So Jen, Allie, there's your guidance on this one. Okay. Item 2 under old business for discussion of possible action, Sugar Hollow Road Associates LLC. Application for revised special exception, revised site plan for change of use from vacant space to medical office space to shops at Marcus Dairy in the CG20 zone, 5 Sugar Hollow Road, G17002, special exception 663. Public hearing was closed this evening. Discussion, commission members, any thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, I have no issues with this. It's an interior redesign here. Hardly any changes to the parking and traffic. I don't know that we're really going to notice anything as far as that goes. I think it's a good addition to the area, so I have no issues.
Thank you. Anyone else want to add or chime in? It's not required to, but if anyone wants to.
I agree, Mr. Chairman, Helen, I agree with what Bob just said. I think it would make a good addition to the area, and just to add to just to bring up again Councilman Rotello's comments about it being different application that would supplement medical care in the area, especially with respect to residents going into the mall. I thought that was a very good comment, so I'm in favor of it.
You? Well,
I'm also in agreement, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thanks, Perry. Kevin, anything? You're good? All good, Kev?
Yeah, I'm all good.
Okay. And No, I agree. I did work across the street for many years, about 15 years up at Lee Farm Corporate Park. I think it was Councilman Rotello that said he's there frequently, as was I for over a decade, and I never saw any parking or traffic issues at that site. So I too am in favor of the application. So Ally and Jen, there's your guidance on that one. Okay. We have no referrals. I'm sure everybody's real disappointed about that. Nothing under new business. Under correspondence, as I mentioned earlier, we have the revised regular meeting schedule for 2024. Again, please note your calendars. Other matters for discussion and possible action, there's nothing. And then for reference only, there's a couple of things. Let's see here.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Jen.
Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted the commission to know, Attorney Beecher sent us a letter this afternoon withdrawing JAR Associates at Thornley Mac Avenue. They're coming, they'll be coming back in. They're resolving an issue they're having with having to relocate the building. So
Fair enough.
they're just out of time, so they'll be back in.
Okay. Thank you, Jen. There's a couple items, other items under for reference only, commission members, so you can take a look at. So yeah, so look at that. 2 public hearings closed. It's 8:15. How's that, Attorney Marcus, for moving things along? Now, you think you're the only one with a New Year's resolution to move things along? Huh?
I think it's fabulous. And what's important is if you get on your screen real quickly, you can watch the last 15 minutes of the Lady Huskies wiping out Creighton in a basketball game. So it's good news all around.
Okay, full disclosure.
Thank you all, and we'll see you very soon. Thanks. Good night.
Right. Thanks, Attorney Mark. Anything else, commission members? And if not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, folks.